So good evening, and thank you so much for joining us. How kind. What we've done is we've reached Ramble 10. This is Ramble 10. We've reached double figures. So 10, 10. I've always thought 10, 10 is a skinny man looking at a fat man. One being the skinny, the zero. I think this was once taught to me because at Sunday school, when I was very young, because the 10th commandment, we're looking at the 10 commandments, and the 10th commandment is do not covet. Covet being the jealousy. So we had like mnemonics, and so anyway, so 10, skinny man. So here we are. We've already begun rambling off topic, but perhaps I can be the skinny man looking at the fat riches of worldly wisdom on offer, and these wisdoms can be found on the bookshelves of the great libraries of the world, and also YouTube. You know, there's plenty of wisdom available on YouTube if you know where to look. And the best thing is, you just sit back and have it played to you like a sort of symphony of I'm running out of time to come up with something. A sort of symphony of worldly synthesized knowledge, understanding, perspective. That's one of the realizations I've had in the last year, I would say. And I'm going to steal the phrase from Kendrick Lamar, because he says it outright in his latest album, is that life is perspective. So I'm nicking it from him, but I've figured it out in sort of 5 different ways, and it really is. The older you get, I haven't got time to unpack what that phrase means, because I have a plan for this episode. But life is perspective. It's kind of like, it's actually midnight, so my brain's not sharp. So I won't unpack that. But life is perspective. You just have to take that one on faith, or don't. That's fine. So what I would like to do today is look at childhood. Can I get to some kind of interesting takes on childhood? And what I've got as an aid is Ned Sherrin. Ned Sherrin's, I think, volume 4 of the Oxford Dictionary of Humorous Quotations. Ned Sherrin being this great wit who synthesized all the funny people in the English language, and then put all the quotes in a book. So, isn't that a great thing? You know, these books of quotes, I guess I'm in the luxurious position of having enough time and being a sufficient dosser to have time to look at these things. But if you hadn't spare a 20 minutes here, a 20, a 15, a 10, can you chuck a 25 minutes on a Sunday? If you got time, get a book of quotes, open it up. It will enrich your life, and it's not about like little gotcha, oh, I've got this funny thing to say. That's not what it's about. There are humorous quotations, that's what this book is, and then there are quotes, and they will transform, and so we're going back to life as perspective on accidentally. That's the great thing about these tangents, is you read these quotes, and they will just slowly seep into your life, and slowly transform the way you understand things differently, and eventually, if you're careful about it, they will change the way you live your life for the better. And now the people who know me will tell me that I have failed at that, probably because my life is still in many ways a mess. But we're getting there. We're improving. change in perspective often that is valuable, with a capital V, valuable. And you might think, oh, change in perspective, what are you doing? How many carrots have you grown? How many, how many dollars are you getting in the bank? Where's the carrots? Where's the parsnip harvest? Let's get the real tangible goods. Yes, fair enough. But actually, sometimes a change in perspective can transform your life slowly over the years, and you end up in a completely different place. I am in a completely different place than I was 1 year ago. And from that point, 2 years ago, before that, completely different place. Before that, 2 years, completely different place. And I am in the fortunate position to say that I can say with all my heart that each of those 2 years, though they've been full of mess and ups and downs, each, it's got better. Things have got better. And so thank God for that. So, because that was not down to me exactly. That's not how these things work. That was down to forces beyond my control. Sounds airy fairy. It was down to the willingness to accept help and then work really hard to implement that. And numerous points where I just wanted to give up with every fibre of my body. Lots of times I did carry on giving up, but numerous times I got up in the struggle and I struggled on, and I got to a place and things were great and I thought things were great, and then I'd have an argument and there'd be some big calamity that takes place and everyone's angry at me for my behaviour, and then I have to go away and look in the mirror and think, okay, well, I actually wasn't that bad. I didn't think I was that bad. I don't know why everyone's so angry at me, but there was this and this that could have been different, and okay, well, so why did those things happen like that? And then you just have to look in the mirror again and just say, look, I humble myself before myself, and what I thought was correct was wrong, and let's change. And so that's life, perspective. And quotes, the great wisdom of the ancients, the great wisdom of the present wits, the Churchills, the Ned Sherrins, the Fran Lebowitz. Fran Lebowitz is going to come up. These people can change you for the better. They really can. I don't know if this is really actually good advice. I don't know. Perhaps I am more amenable to this kind of thing being applied to my life. I'm on a personality scale very open. So I sort of like ideas. Anyway, you might as well try out the quotes. At the they can't hurt you. They can't hurt you, and they might just change your life. So, right, enough rambling. Let's begin the ramble. So what we're going to ramble about today is childhood. From the book of, I feel like this is the Bible really, from the book of Job, no, from the book of humorous quotations. So what is childhood? We all had one. I think. I think magical. I mean, I use the word magical a lot. I know that. But I think that is, if there's anything in life that you can use the word about, magical is one. And now, of course, those people who've had a difficult childhood, that's not going to be the first word you reach for. And I can only apologise. That's an absolute travesty. But there's something magical about innocence and naivety and inexperience, and because everything is new. You are experiencing everything for the first time. So a newborn baby is like the archetype. It's like the biggest example. When something's wrong for a newborn baby, it's the end of the world. Their like threat system, their panic system is on 100. It's on all systems go. You know, when the slightest disturbance, and they are bawling their eyes out. They're kicking and screaming, and because their life's on the line. These newborn babies, unless they're looked after in a very specific way, they die. Full stop. Period. So when something's wrong, they have to communicate that. All right. So, however, when something's joyful, they are able to laugh. Now they do have this. They are much more risk averse and sort of threat sensitive. So it's kind of like the best thing in the world will make them chuckle and laugh. The slightest disturbance will make them feel like at the end of the world. So it's kind of like they're prepped for the negative. But now I don't really know newborn babies that well, being a dosser. So I'm somewhat speaking out of turn. If there are any mothers in the audience who are saying he's talking nonsense, feel free to comment below, and thank you. So yeah, don't comment. Doesn't matter. So right, childhood. So I thought I'd just read through some of these quotes. So the book is organised by topic, and there's a topic on children. So I thought I'd just read through some of them. We'll just discuss, and we'll see if we can reach something magical. There's that word again. All right. From Ronald Knox, definition of a baby: a loud noise at one end and no sense of responsibility at the other. Now this is true. Now, one of the glorious things about childhood, if a childhood's lived right, is yes, maybe you should do some household chores and help out and begin to learn the art of responsibility and the art of carrying a burden for the sake of others and doing your duty. But really, surely I put it to the audience that a childhood lived right should be to a healthy degree free of responsibility. Now, why? Because it gives space, surely. It gives space for exploration. It gives space for adventure, for discovery. And isn't that what the whole thing's about? Trying to figure out, well, you wake up in this life, you don't ask to be born, but you have this panoply of delights, chocolate ice cream, sunshine, rainbow, puddles in the wellies, You have this panoply of glorious things, this sort of smorgasbord of things to sample. Little ice creams on the patio, Grandma. What about Grandma? What about Gramps? What about the siblings? Yeah, I'm just kidding. But it's a discovery. It's a this. It's a that. It's a tinkling on the piano and not knowing what you're doing. It's a sort of trying to unload the dishwasher and dropping a plate. That's childhood, It's a sort of trying to open the fridge so you can get a yogurt, but you can't reach the handle. That's what it's all about. So, next one. This is quite a sort of wry wit. So this is Joe Orton Luke. I actually have this book. Joe Orton Lute. Can I be bothered to search for it? I think I won't try and search for it. Because if I know myself, what I'll do is I'll start, I'll fail, and then I won't give up for like 20 minutes, and that will be obviously not good for your perspective. But Joe Orton Lute, random backstory, I didn't realise this was from this. But the first real great performance I ever gave on stage, or great performance that someone else gave to me, was uh, was an excerpt of this play in house drama at my school, Magdalen, um, and it was a ridiculous excerpt, and basically it was a sort of paedophile that a fantastic actor by the name of Charles McCallum. I don't know what he's up to now. So he was in upper sixth. I was in, year 9 or something. But looking like a 10-year-old. I was minuscule, so looked like an innocent boy, and he was playing this sexual predator and or not sexual predator, but just creepy uncle kind of guy, and it was just it was this, and it went down tremendously, the little excerpt. And it's from the play Joe Orton Lute. It's sort of based in the East End. He was a sort of East End geezer, and I was a ruffian on the streets, like an Oliver Twist vagabond's not the right word, ragamuffin, what's the word, urchin. I was an urchin. I was this East End street urchin, and I'd been roped in, and he was, and I don't think he actually touched me, but there was just innuendo, and it was all a bit scandalous, but it went down very well with the lads who were watching. It was very, very rare that you can make sort of teenage boys at a school are a tough crowd for a play, or any kind of drama, because plays nine times out of 10 are boring as hell. But it was a success. Right, random detour over. Joe Orton Lute. Every every luxury was lavished on you. Atheism, breastfeeding, circumcision. I mean, I think we can leave that there. I mean, it's a sort of, it's a nonsense. But every luxury was lavished on you. That's really what should. That's what we should. That's what we should see in a childhood, but to a degree, of course, a degree. You don't want to spoil a child. So what is spoiling a child? Spoiling a child is when they will get whatever they want. Now, a child should get what they need, and they should also get what they want. But that should be a treat, and that's another joyous thing about a child, is to receive what you want. And that's what a good parent does, is to listen to the child's needs, and find out what they really love, and then on occasion provide exactly that, and make them so happy. But don't do it all the bloody time. Otherwise, why is that a problem? I'm just trying to figure this out in my head now. I mean, why is that a problem? If you give them what? So obviously you're spoiling them. But what does that mean? It means that it means they don't learn that they have to work slash wait for good things in life, and they have to. Yeah, I think it's pretty straightforward. I mean, I could spend some time unpacking that, but can't be bothered. Next one. Noel Coward, the famous playwright, on being asked what sort of child he was, when being paid constant attention, extremely lovable, when not, a pig. Okay? Children need the right amount of attention, surely. Um, they really, really do need attention. Attention is sort of indistinguishable from love, from a child's perspective. Um, so you need to give them, but again, you don't want to be doting, and you actually want to just like kick them out a bit every now and again. Go play on the streets, Go see what those tough kids are saying. Let's get you out on your own, little munchkin, little monster. Let's get you moving. Let's get you playing some football. Let's get you into some fights. No, I'm just kidding. Just draw the line there. But you do want to encourage that kind of social integration within their peer group, their age group. And just trying to, because ultimately that's their destiny, to succeed and thrive and make friends amongst their peers. Okay. Again, just to clarify, I'm talking very much out of turn here. I have no children, and I'm a youngster. So, if you would like to violently disagree with me in the comments section, if you'd like to violently disagree with me in the comments section, feel free to do so. So, number 31. Children always assume the sexual lives of their parents come to a grinding halt at their conception. Alan Bennett. I'm not sure if that's especially funny of a quote, but it is interesting. I'm not going to go down the rabbit hole of discussing sex life, so we will move on. Childhood is the last chance gulch for happiness. After that, you know too much. That's Tom Stoppard. Tom Stoppard, great playwright. Arcadia. Now, Arcadia was actually also another play I did at a house drama. Arcadia playing the character of Septimus. That went down a treat. Those are some of my happiest memories, house drama. Something about performing for your peers and trying to make people laugh. Something magical. There it is again. Childhood is the last chance gulch for happiness. After that, you know too much. Tom Stoppard. Well, I mean, that's a sad. I think he's being sarcastic, I hope, about his own life. But I also do get the impression that is the fate of some adults. That there is a certain diminishing of the positive end of life as they get old and they get a tad cynical and a tad accepting of the way things are. It's kind of like, and again, I'm still young, so maybe I will engage in premature curmudgeonhood also. But there's this sort of curmudgeonness. And again, we're not trying to demonize anyone, we're not trying to, if anything, it's a sadness that not only that life isn't as great as it once was now, but there's a sort of, as a resignation there, there's an acceptance that that's the way it's got to be. And I just want to put my arm around these guys and just, these people, and just say, maybe if you reorganize things a little bit, but some people are just in difficult situations. They've got the family and they've put things in and they've got the job and they haven't got time and they just. But I just want to say, if you could just reorganize it, couldn't you? You surely have things that make you passionate, that make you alive. Could you not figure out a way to sort of incorporate these kind of little things into, and just bring that spark back? That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to bring the spark. Surely that's the mission in life, is to live it in a noble way where you help others and serve your community and your God, but do so in a way that retains the spark for yourself and for others. And so there is that smile, there can be that smile, there can be that laughter, there can be that joy. capital what? A capital J. Joy. Okay, good. Next one. Children can be awe-inspiringly horrible. I think it'd be funny, I know. Children can be awe-inspiringly horrible, manipulative, aggressive, rude, and unfeeling, to a point where I often think that if armed, they would make up the most terrifying fighting force the world has ever seen. Now this reminds me of... There's going to be a quote later on. We'll just do them as a pair now. There is this horrible idea, beginning with Jean-Jacques Rousseau, and still going strong in college classrooms, that natural man is naturally good. Anybody who's ever met a toddler knows this is nonsense. Now this is very much true. Very much true. Toddlers, young children are great. They are great reflections. Now this is true of animals. Okay, little detour. You knew it was coming. Little detour. Animals and children are great. The reason why C.S. Lewis writes with animals, and some of the greatest books ever written, some of the greatest, children's book and just general fiction, use animals as characters, talking animals. So like Wind in the Willows, and the Narnia books, and you fill in the blanks. I'm sure there's a bunch of others. So why are animals so great? It's because they are like us, but they are not like us, and they are reflections. They are they are enlightening or sort of eye-opening reflections to ourselves. And so I don't have time to go down this rabbit hole, if you'll pardon the pun, but there is a something about talking animals and okay, so detour back to the toddlers, because toddlers are like us, but they're not like us, and so they're a great reflection. Because what toddlers are, they've got all the human nature, they've all got all the desires and wants, without perhaps the sexual element being awake yet. But they have all the aggression, the need for violence, they have the hunger, they have the need for sleep, they have the need for friends and affection, they have they have all this, but they don't have any of the regulation and control that adults and older children have learnt to develop. And so they're just gloriously wild. Is that not what these youngsters are all about? Gloriously wild. And so this quote, there's this horrible idea, beginning with Jean-Jacques Rousseau, still going strong in college classrooms, that natural man is naturally good. Anybody who's ever met a toddler knows this is nonsense. We are not good. We're not good with a capital G. Now, a couple of rambles back, if you'll cast your mind back, we had a something. What did we have? We had a quote about the what a piece of work is man, how infinite, how noble in reason, infinite in faculties, in form and moving, express and admirable, in action like an angel, and expression like a god. So this was Shakespeare venerating mankind, and I sort of gave this little spiel about how we're great as humans, but that doesn't mean we're good, okay? So that's a difference. There's a difference. Don't think I'm backing up this Rousseauian idea that we are good. We are something valuable, something with potential for nobleness and honour and capability to love and capable of great things, but we are not good. So a toddler will demonstrate this to you. They are selfless, but they are also incredibly selfish, and so are we. And so we are both selfish and selfless, and it's when we choose to feed one of the impulses, depending on, so I think you get the idea. I don't need to go any further on that one. but that was a funny quote. They could be all. Children are awe-inspiringly horrible, manipulative, aggressive, rude, unfeeling to a point where I often feel that if armed, they would make up the most terrifying fighting force the world has ever seen. Imagine an army of 3-year-olds. Think of a 3-year-old, or a 2-year-old running around with armed and dangerous with weapons. That genuinely would be terrifying. Goodness me. I'm sure that has happened in America. I mean, America of all places, that has happened at some point, I'm sure. There's been some daycare in Wisconsin or some toddler sanctuary in the heart of Texas, and the kids have got into the gun vault and started running around with these rifles or pistols. That's definitely happened. Probably numerous times. Okay, next quote's a bit boring. Let's move on to Fran Lebowitz, 35 and 36. Ask your child what he wants for dinner only if he's buying. Very good. A child, if you're given the option to choose dinner, you're probably going to say, what I want is I want sort of 3 different types of ice cream, and they're mounded with marshmallows on top, with sort of chocolate sauce dripping down. We're gonna have a couple of cherries on top, and the sprinkles on the side with the nuts and the. So it's going to be an elaborate and impractical request. So ask your child what he wants for dinner, only if he's buying. Good advice. Also by Fran Lebowitz. What I'm going to do after this is actually go and watch the Fran Lebowitz, Martin Scorsese Netflix series. They did a series, I watched it about 3 years ago, and it was brilliant. I'm going to go rewatch it. Fran Lebowitz is just this hilarious. She's a Jewish woman, now sort of oldish, in her 60s, who is a sort of comedian. I'm not sure she's ever a stand-up, but a comic writer from New York, and just wrote a couple books in the 80s with just this acerbic Jewish wit that is fantastic. So you're gonna get a little glimpse of it just now with number 36. Don't bother discussing sex with small children. They rarely have anything to add. Now, if you don't find that funny, there you go. That's life. Number 37. If men had to have babies, they would only ever have one each. That was Diana, Prince of Wales. Diana. Ugh. If you're a big Diana fan, I'm sorry. Yeah, fair enough. I mean, one doesn't know what a mother goes through in childbirth, and it's something. It definitely is something remarkable, and to do that over and over, and then also just the breastfeeding and the pregnancy, and these are big things. I think it's once again we turn to Jay-Z. In 444 he says, to all the ladies having babies, see your sacrifice. Push through pain so you can see new life. Push through pain so that you can see new life. So thank you for all the mothers in the world for that. So we have number 38 is this. All bachelors love dogs, and we would love children just as much if they could be taught to retrieve. Now he's probably referring to the retrieval of a beer can from the fridge by a dog, which would be a glorious thing. Anyway, so all bachelors. Not a great quote. almost at the end here, you'll be greatly relieved to hear. Bill Bryson, I had always thought that once you grew up, you could do anything you wanted. Stay up all night, or eat ice cream straight out of the container. Now in this sort of, so let's just have it again. I had always thought that once you grew up, you could do anything you wanted. Stay up all night or eat ice cream straight out of the container. It's not hilarious, but there is a subtle something. There's a sort of deep truth involved in this quote here, which perhaps we can try and tease out. I'd always thought that once you grew up, you could do anything you wanted, stay up all night, or eat ice cream out of the container. When you're a child, I said in a previous ramble, the sort of definition of childhood is this. When you want to do X, what are you doing? You're doing X. That's what you're gonna do, and you're gonna kick and scream, and it's gonna happen. That's what. And then eventually, you meet some kind of opposition from an authority figure, normally a parent or a teacher, and you are sort of externally regulated. That impulse that you had is no, that's not happening. So that's sort of what's happened. That's sort of what happens in childhood. Now, obviously, I am talking from my experience of childhood. I am also aware that there are other people who, strange people, who are just well behaved. So maybe they never really had this, but I actually have a great respect for people who can just behave well. Part of me wish I could do that better, but so misbehavior, and then you eventually get this kind of external thing saying wrong, rethink, no, that kind of thing. And so as a kid, you sort of go through life thinking, oh, well, who are all these people? Why do these people try and stop me? And you eventually kind of change and figure out what mode of existence, what mode of childish joy search you can go on, where you're not getting intervened and disciplined, and you kind of figure out a way. All right, so this quote is saying, you thought that once you could grow up, you could do anything. You could stay up all night or eat ice cream out of a container. So let's take the opposite of those things. Stay up all night. Well, the alternative of that is go to bed at your bedtime. Is that surely not the great annoyance of childhood, bedtime? Why do I have to go to bed? 8 p.m. All the cool people are staying up and doing all the cool. Surely, your childhood was spent in your bed at 8 p.m. hearing. You enjoyed life during the daytime with the adults, with the thing, and it was nice. But surely, whatever you were missing after 8 p.m., within the hours of 8 and 12, when you hear the people outside, that's the party. Why am I not invited to the party? Surely that was the... was that just me? Maybe that was me. Okay, so stay up all night, or you eat ice cream straight out of the container. So the opposite of that would be a correct size portion in a bowl. So go to bed on time and eat your correct size portion in a bowl. These are the annoyances. Now, I've got a tremendously long ramble to say this. That what adulthood is realizing that you should go to bed. This isn't profound at all, is it? You should just go to bed on time and eat the correct size portion in the bowl, not out of the container, because that's good for you. But you have to discover that. And you have to. Surely the adolescence is that great time where you're trying to figure things out, and you are staying out late, and you are not eating ice cream out of the container. You're taking hard drugs, or hopefully you're not. But you're trying to push the boundaries and figure out what are the things. Suddenly you have this freedom, and so let's do all the things that we're not allowed to do, and figure out why they're bad. Basically, you have to make the mistakes yourself, make the errors, go too far to understand the necessity of the medium. The balance, the balance. the sort of Taoist path, the sort of the line between the two serpents. That's what we're aiming for. The sort of Tao Te Ching, the sort of the yin, the yang, the sort of balance. That's what life's about. The bedtime, the correct size portion in the bowl, not out the container. Why? Because it's good for you. Enough preaching. Enough preaching. So, next one. 42. Now, I read this earlier and it's a bit of a scout. I'm surprised this came from Stephen Fry. When you've seen a nude infant doing a backward somersault, you know why clothing exists. Stephen, you're better than that, you know. It's a sort of grim image. You come across as a bit of a paedophile. Big fan of Stephen Fry, though, so we'll forgive him. We'll forgive you for that one. 43 is boring. 44, is the final one. Any child with sense knew you didn't involve yourself with the adult world if you weren't absolutely forced to. We lived on our side of a great divide, and we crossed it at our peril. Jill Tweedy. Any child with any sense knew you didn't involve yourself with the adult world unless you were absolutely forced to. We lived on our side of a great divide, and we crossed it at our peril. That's a good place to end. So, if you have any children in your life, do something to make them feel special, and go out and read a good book to them. That'd be my advice. Little History of the World, E.H. Gombrich, Corker. Sit down, talk about the Spartans, talk about Babylon, talk about... And whilst we're talking about Babylon, whilst we're talking about Spartans, whilst we're talking about the Russian Revolution, we're talking about life, you know? We're laughing, we're joking, we're smiling. We're finding out how their day was at school. We're finding out about, ooh, the little crush, oh, you know, and we talk, and we smile, and we... What we're trying to do is we're trying to offer these kids something that they should have, which is a happy, prosperous childhood with the potential for a great future. So, I think that's a good place to end. And thank you for listening. If you can come back again for another ramble, we'd love to have you. There is no we, it's just me, but thank you for listening.